All right, I really didn't want to make this video this early in season 10 because there's a lot of cars that are going to be coming out throughout the season, and that's going to shift the meta possibly. So I was trying to save this video for the end of the season, but you guys kept pushing me. There's a lot of comments, a lot of DMs wondering when I'm going to put out a new meta video for Grand Racing. So let's do it now, and then we'll do an update later in the season. Let's go. All right, let's start in Street 1. What you're looking at is my spreadsheet. This is where I keep all of my test time and test data. This is linked in the description if you want to look at it. It's open for anyone. Let's start with Street 1. Like I said, the first car we need to talk about is the brand new Ferrari 250 GTO. This is one that you unlock with that 1 hour race. This car is extremely fast. It's good in basically every situation. It's an all-around good car. So in Street 1, you're looking at this as your meta. The Ferrari 250 GTO, the 911 Carrera 2.7, still really good. Even though they nerfed the top speed, everyone forgets that they got actually a handling update. So the 911 2.7 still very, very good, very viable in Street 1. The Mazda MX-5 is the next option. All three of these cars can compete with each other. Depending on the track, one is going to be stronger than the other, but all three of these guys are pretty good on basically everywhere in the Grand Races. So those are going to be your top three. Some honorable mentions are the Golf GTI. Both Golf GTIs do pretty well. They're not going to hang with those top three cars most of the time, but those two cars are good options as a secondary. The RS2 Avant is going to be your gutter heavy car. That's the car you want to take on basically anything that has a bunch of back-to-back gutters. That's what you want. As far as highways go, it's the Civic Type R Red Panther edition. This one came out at the end of season 9. It was a Summit exclusive car. You'll be able to buy this in season 11 in the Prestige shop if you don't have it already, but that's going to be your highway car. Moving on to Street 2, at the top of the list is the Alpine A110. This is a new car for season 10. This car is phenomenal in every single scenario. Now, the one spot that it kind of has a little chink in his armor is going to be the gutters. The gutters, it gets a little bit bouncy. It doesn't really jive with them very much, and you kind of have to drive it through the gutters with a little bit more skill than the other cars. That being said, it's still very good there. It's still very fast there. You just have to control it a little better. But for gutters, if you really want control, you're going to go with the GTO, the Ferrari GTO. This thing is insane. You can dump it into the gutter at a ridiculous speed and it'll still hook and keep you there. It's a very nice car. Aside from that, the Ferrari F50 is still very, very strong. It's going to compete with the A110 on almost all scenarios. If you have a big driver discrepancy, obviously the better driver is going to win, but the cars are very close. If the drivers are completely equal, if it's the same driver, I think the A110 edges it out just slightly. Now, outside of that, we do have some specialty cars. You've got the Hurricane with top speed. This is going to be only highways. If you have to turn it all, I wouldn't recommend the Hurricane, but if it's all highways, definitely that's the one to go with. It has the highest top speed. The Corvette ZR1, I don't have it highlighted here. The ZR1 is great for technical and gutter situations. It really rivals the GTO. In some cases, it actually beats it. If it's a super like heavy back-to-back gutter situation, the ZR1 can put distance on the GTO. And then finally, the Taycan Turbo S Thunder Edition. This one is really good at the start of races. You can get a really good start. You can get out in front of the pack, and then you can kind of pull away if you have those back-to-back hairpins. So anyway, that's Street 2. Let's move on to Hypercar. For Hypercar, the best car in the class is not at the top of this list. It is the Venom F5. I hate it. It pains me to say it. The car just really doesn't feel that great to drive. I would much prefer to drive the Imola, and both cars are very similar, but the F5 has a slight advantage. The F5 is better with NOS power. It's got a slightly higher top speed, and because of that, it wins the race most of the time when you go head-to-head with an Imola, and that frustrates me because the Imola just feels so much better to drive. That being said, number 2 is going to be the Imola, and number 3, I'm going to recommend the Noble M500. Now, there are a lot of cars that are going to be packed in here in Hyper, and I can't mention all of them. What I'd recommend is if you're looking for an additional like alternative car for Hypercar, go to this spreadsheet and just pick one out of the top 20 or so. The top 20 to 30 hypercars are basically viable in the Grand Races. There's a lot of differences between each of the cars, so you're gonna have to figure out which one you like the best. But for the most part, Hypercar is pretty balanced, and there's a lot of cars that are very, very viable, very usable, and I don't really feel comfortable recommending more than any of the other ones, except for maybe the Hennessy, the Imola, and the M500 specifically for highway routes. Keep that in mind. The M500, not good for turning, very good for highways. Let's move on to the racing category. Racing, we've got the Camaro SS. It's back. It was the original meta car. It is now back because everything else gets nerfed, especially the T50. That being said, the T50 is still really good. It just doesn't handle like the Camaro, and you can use it at the start of races. In fact, I like to jump into it when the race starts in racing, so I can kind of like get away from the pack. The Camaro has a really slow start. The T50 does not. The T50 starts out really well. I definitely recommend doing that, but the Camaro absolutely blows the doors off it when it comes to any type of handling situation. You can definitely put distance on anyone that's driving a T50. After that, the Ferrari F40 LM is a really, really good choice, as well as the Porsche 935 in high speed turns specifically. If you take the 935 and you ask it to gutter, you ask it to accelerate, it's not going to have a very good time. But if you have high speed turn sections like, you know, a city section where you're basically at high speed, you're not really braking too much, that 935 does very, very well. It hangs in there when it comes to lateral G's. So that's a good option. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, where does the Alpenglow rank? And as you can see on the spreadsheet, it's at like number 10. So it's there, it's fine, but I put it right next to those other BMW M hybrids. It performs very similarly to those. It drives very similarly to those. The back end's kind of weird and it just feels kind of yucky to drive. So I really wouldn't recommend it, but can you keep up a little bit? Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not the worst. It's just kind of like above average, but definitely not meta. All right, moving into AGP, there are two cars that I recommend. The first one is the RB14. You can use that or the Disruption Edition. The main difference for me is mainly the livery. The regular RB14, you can put a livery on. The Disruption Edition, you can't. So I use the regular one with the livery. The other option, which is down here, the AGP 07. This one I only use for pro racing modifiers because it doesn't have a center bar. It's much easier to see everything, and it's not that much slower than the RB14, so it's definitely usable. Moving into motocross, it's the same as it's been for a while. The YZ450F is going to be your choice with the Robbie Madison water bike for like water heavy routes where you're gonna cross the river a bunch of times or go through a bunch of water. The water bike is definitely the way to go. Outside of that, literally everywhere else, you're going to take the YZ450F. In Rally Raid, there's three that you need to know, and that's going to be the Z4. That's your all-around default pick. In almost every scenario, it'll be fine. Then you have the more technical car, which is the 959 Raid. That one's going to be for technical. It has a lot more grip. It's better for hairpins, that type of thing. And then you have the top speed guy, which is the Tacoma. That's going to be like all of your beach routes, your heavy sand, your water crossings, all of the things that are going to be going straight mostly. You're going to want to use the Tacoma because it's got a very good top speed. All right, moving into rally. For rally, I recommend the Mini Countryman all four if you're using manual or sequential transmission. If you're not, if you're an auto player, then I recommend the Ogmios Rally Spec. That's going to be your best shot. Those are the two at the top of the list. The Countryman is definitely a little bit more useful than the Ogmios because it doesn't lose as much speed in water, and there are quite a few routes that have water crossings when you're in rally. So I like the Countryman better, but if you're an auto, the Countryman does not work that well because you can't take advantage of its power band, which is a little bit before redline. You are stuck shifting when the game wants you to shift. But if you're a manual, you can shift early, which is the secret. It's around 5 to 5,500 RPMs. You want to shift up to the next gear, which is like 2,000 RPM before the red line. And you can't do that in auto. You can only do it in manual. So Countryman for manual, Ogmios for auto. If we move into monster truck, there's only really one that you should pick, and that's the Silverado. Another truck that's kind of close to fast is going to be the Red Bull Raptor race truck. That Ford F-150 is actually decent. I don't like it. I'd rather drive the Silverado, but that one can keep up if you stay in slipstream and you're, you know, nearby other players. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, I'm going to go back to Street 1 real quickly because on Street 1 specifically, there's an opportunity to use RC cars. Now, if you don't have the RC bundle, it's not a big deal. You can use like the Comet or Trick Shot or whichever one is available. I keep forgetting. But basically, the Rust Bucket is going to be the car that you want to use in Street 1 for super technical routes. The reason is because it has the best acceleration in the class, and it's going to give you an insane head start in the race. But the reason I saved this for last, and the reason I'm talking about it now, is because it's not like the normal car setup. It is very difficult to drive for most players. Most players, it's too twitchy. They have a hard time controlling it. And I've been thinking about it. You guys can let me know in the comments if you want this. I've been thinking about putting a guide together for how to drive the RC cars because the RC cars are definitely a lot different. And you have some advantages there with being able to jump over walls, being able to take certain shortcuts, not losing speed while in the air and using NOS. Things like that are really going to help you in grand races, but only on certain scenarios, like certain tracks. If you go anywhere where there's a straight, you're going to get dusted. They don't have the top speed. So I just want to say that to the end. You guys let me know in the comments if you want a RC specific like handling guide or like driving guide basically, and I will definitely try to put that together. So anyway, that's it for the Grand Race Meta in Season 10. I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you have any questions, send me a message on Instagram or Discord. I read every single DM that comes my way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.